Your content doesn't work because you treat it like a task on your to-do list. Volume, volume, volume. That is what people are screaming at you, aren't they? You get 100 views, you get consistency in the content that you create, but you get no buyers. Nothing is working. So why the fuck are you listening to them? And like, to be honest, right, I'm not here to tell you what's wrong or right, not at all. I'm just purely here to share you my experience based on what I know works for myself and my clients. Does that mean it needs to work for you? I have no clue. The only way you can figure that out is by watching this video. Let me start by number one. The thing that people don't understand about content is that it can work on two sides. It can work in your favor and it can work against you. Now, the thing that people don't realize about content is that most people think it can only work in their favor. The more they post, the more output there is, the higher the chance is of getting lucky because volume negates luck. That's true when you do outreach, when you send messages, but that's not true when you make content. It's different because content can work against you. It can prevent a buyer from actually becoming a buyer. It can turn a buyer into someone who's not interested in paying anymore. Now, how do you fix that problem? I've been trying to fix this problem for years and I haven't been able to figure it out. But now, as you know, you've been seeing my content, you know that my content is top tier. And the only reason why that is because of one reason. And in today's video, I want to explain you that one reason that changed my life in the way I create content for it to be actually beneficial and converting. Because there are two sections that we need to understand. We have the power of attention and we have the power of conversion. You need these two things in content to be able to make it work. Now, most people in the market, right? What they do when they create content is they don't intentionally choose what they post, how they post it, and the way they position it. Let me walk you through the 5 steps of the things that actually matter. First, outfit. You want to be walking in a continuous outfit that suits your brand. You see me in 3 different outfits every single time on my brand. Second thing that you want to do every single time you create content, format. You want to be using a maximum of 3 formats so it's actually on brand. The only reason I choose 3 and not 5 or 10 or 1,000, just like everybody else is doing, is because that takes it off of brand, right? When you create content. Next topic is ideation. This is where most people struggle because, Nick, like, you know what it is? Like, how do I get more content ideas? How do I find a way to actually make it work? I'll tell you the secret to this because there are 2 ways. The first way, you want to understand at its core purpose of you are solving a problem and you have a vehicle that gets people to that problem, a unique mechanism. When you don't have that unique mechanism in the first place, you need to create it because when you don't have it, you cannot create content. Now, you utilize that unique mechanism and you create a structure around it which stimulates that specific piece of content, that unique mechanism, with either philosophy-driven content or technical-driven content. This video is philosophy. I'm here explaining my experience based on the things that I've generated with my life and everything that I've done so far. Technical content is when I make a Myra video. That's the difference, as all of you know. Now, how do you encounter this problem? I'm gonna ask you a very important question, right? Ask yourself the question, what is my unique mechanism? You're gonna answer on that immediately. If you don't, then that's the first thing you gotta figure out. Second thing is, every single time I'm talking about content, does it stimulate people to use my mechanism? As an example, I use the profile funnel. The profile funnel is a funnel that I created, which is the reason why I got announced on Forbes. Now, the most important thing here is that we are in a trust economy. The most important thing that matters today is selling through DMs, selling through conversions, right? Selling through conversations. That are the things that matter. That are the things that people care about. It's not about cold calling, knocking doors anymore. So I invented a unique mechanism and a strategy of acquisition to actually encounter this problem. And this is how creator-led businesses, coaching businesses or consulting businesses scale and acquire new clients through that specific vehicle. That is my unique mechanism. Now, the problem here is that I need to create content that stimulates my mechanism. Does that mean every single video I need to mention the profile funnel? No, I don't. Absolutely not. What I need to do is, I want you to listen right now because I know I have your attention. You're already watching for 5 minutes, so keep it. Very important. what you need to do is you need to talk about indirect topics that stimulate that authority, that specific unique mechanism. As an example, direct is saying, the profile funnel has helped me scale my company. Look, here's one of my clients. That's transformation driven. I can say, have you heard about the profile funnel? The profile funnel is a new mechanism that is also direct, but then value based. Now, we gotta switch this to indirect content. As an example, when I talk about the way people sell will be different. The way people make decisions in 2026 will be different. We're in a trust-based economy. People are going with their minds from offers and frameworks to people and brands.
Yeah, right.
Now, what I just did, as an example, that was a scripting, right? What I just did is I'm just shifting people's beliefs. I'm shifting their paradigm based on a specific topic to stimulate my profile funnel, because what my profile funnel is for is to solve that specific problem. Now, does that mean I only can talk about acquisition or whatever? No. I can talk about any other different topic. I can talk about offer. I can say, you know what, you have 1,000 sales calls. You have a team of closers. You have low profit margin. But how are you still not making more than 50,000 a month in profit? How is that possible? Great hook, right? I can say and counter that with the solution or the process of saying, you know what? Like, I make 300K a month in profit. I have only one closer, high profit margins. And what I'm doing indirectly with this messaging is I'm positioning my offer as the ideal situation, right? Around or for the solution that I've created based on the problem that people have that watch my content. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling people, listen, you don't need to have a massive offer. You don't need to have a big sales team. You don't need to direct sell and mass sell. No, you can do XYZ, you can do DM closing, you can close through conversations, you can close through story sequences, you can close through Instagram Reels or YouTube videos. In a very passive, I would describe it as, consistent and predictable way, while making so much more fucking profit and revenue than you can ever imagine. Now, I didn't say the profile funnel once, but what I did do is I described and I picked a topic to position it as something that creates benefit for me into selling my mechanism. Because when people get to me now saying, Nick, what's your offer? I can go over the deliverables. But the fact that they're already aware about the problems that I help them solve is about the indirect messaging that I bring. So we have a couple different things to make a little conclusion, a summary. This is very important. We have philosophy and technical driven content. Philosophy is what you're looking at right now. Technical is explaining things step by step, right? As an example, with a Miro board, with something visually shown. Then the other components that we need to understand is we can create transformational, educational, and value-driven content. And then the last thing is, are we pursuing this action in a direct way? Super simple, right? Direct, indirect, difficult words. Let me make it very simple for you. Direct, say the word. Indirect, don't say the word. The profile funnel, XYZ, the profile funnel. This lead source system has allowed me to convert more leads than expected. This trust, we're in a trust economy, and this is the reason. You see what I mean? I'm already slightly struggling with creating topics that are indirect, which is the reason why it's more valuable. You saw how I easily said things about the profile funnel. It's easy because you're using the word. So you can easily encounter a script or a thought or a belief or a transformation with it. But indirect is way more difficult, which is the reason why you should use that and should become good at it, because that is what I learned. I'm not using scripting for everything that I'm doing here. This is the importance of leveraging a unique mechanism and having the ability to position it well. When you treat content like a task on your to-do list, you don't put intention behind what you create. You know how much energy people feel through the fucking screen when you're talking to them. That's why people sit down on a Wednesday evening, ramp out 40 short form pieces, have content ready for the whole month. While me and my team are getting ready to position this entire palace as a beautiful content place to shoot, for me to provide an insane amount of value of what's actually working. And you can guess if it's working or not. I don't know. Again, I'm not here to prove you something right or wrong. I'm here to tell you my experience of what worked for me. And that is exactly the reason why I made $4 million with my consulting company, why I built Machi, my software company, up to $100,000 MRR in the first month, which is the reason why I got featured on Forbes. So apparently I'm doing something right. And apparently you still have something to learn. You know what the fun part is content is such a confusing topic. There is no real framework for it, which is the reason why most people struggle with it. Because an appointment setting process, it's easy to encounter. It's easy to follow. Content, this isn't the case because every human is different. Every personal brand is different. Every intention is different. Every offer is different. And you must find a way to find your messaging to get buyers. And you almost think that there's no solution for it, right? Neither do I, to be honest. I didn't believe that in the first place either, but now I do. Because I have found a way. I have found a way for me to understand what I need to say to get people to pay me. Because I understand the framing, I understand how I need to position it, I understand my messaging in terms of what I need to say to get people to listen, what I need to say, to get people to buy, what I need to say, to get people to book in a call. That is the most important thing. I have a framework for this. That is why I have a document, a private document that I use for my own content that I have never shared before. And I'm not comfortable sharing it because it's too powerful. You can see it in my own content. But I think I'm gonna do it because I know that when I can create benefit in your business, you'll get to me at a certain point and you'll be like, Nick, you know what? You've helped me so much. You've changed my life when it comes down to content. Here's my money. And that's how I sell. You are ready the moment you are ready. So I'm happy to send this document over. Make sure you read it in full because I think if you take 30 minutes out of your day to read this document in full, it will absolutely change your life. Just shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll send it over to you.